for joining us on Across the Fence. I'm Jolie Whitney. There's a saying that goes, comedy is tragedy plus time. Well, that's a bit dark. There's always a laugh or two to spare at the Vermont Comedy Club in Burlington. The club has been in operation since 2015. It's founded by a couple who both hail from the Northeast Kingdom, but have decided to set down roots in Burlington. It's been a boon to Vermont's arts community and a burgeoning comedy scene that's ready to laugh. Nathan Hartswick and Natalie Miller have created a home for stand-up comedians and improvisers in downtown Burlington, and they've invited the community to laugh along. Welcome to both of you.
Thank you.
Thanks
for having us.
We're happy to have you. First, just tell me a little bit about the Comedy Club. When are you guys open?
We've been open almost 10 years, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you don't count COVID.
Yeah, and we're open for, we do trivia on Tuesday nights, and then we have comedy shows Wednesday through Saturday, an occasional Sunday show as well.
And we also, a couple of years ago, made our lounge into a coffee shop in the daytime, so we're also open Wednesday through Sunday there. So there's a lot going on all the time.
Yeah, absolutely, a lot to offer.
Yeah.
And it's not just national acts, you guys really work with local people as well.
Yeah,
right?
we love, that's where our passion lies, I think, is working with local people and building up the community.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
So looking more nationally, have you had any big famous names come to visit?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Plenty.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of ones that...
Well, for Michelle Buteau, recently, we have Mark Maron coming in a couple months. Yeah. Kevin James, if there is an older person watching right now.
We had Gilbert Gottfried before he passed away. We've had a lot of bigger names, and you know, what people like about the club is like when they're touring around. There's definitely a feeling there that the people who run that club care about comedy, and I've heard that from many comedians who come through. Is you know, there are a lot of comedy clubs around the country, and this is one that's kind of special because the people running it are comedians themselves and care about, you know, the art form. So.
Yeah, that's great. And we've talked to some people who book musical talent to come to Vermont, and it sounds like it's always a challenge. So have you had the same problem with comedians?
No. I feel like we're, I don't know, maybe we're the only comedy venue really that books, you know, like the Flynn will book in people that are great, obviously, but those are people who are really, really big, who can sell 1,300 seats. We're kind of the only game in town, ish. And because of the reputation, I feel like we get a lot of people wanting to play the club.
Yeah.
So
I mean, it's definitely a bit of a, you know, jigsaw puzzle all the time to, you know, work out the deals with all their agents and all that stuff. It's a full-time job, but so it's hard work, but it's not difficult to find good people who want to play the club. Sometimes I find myself telling comedians who really want to come back a year later, well, there's only 52 weeks in a year, and you know, I'm trying to get all these great people in, so it's a good problem to have.
Yeah, absolutely. And you mentioned the pandemic a little bit, and with kind of the rise of TikTok, I imagine the comedy scene has changed a little bit. Is that something you guys have seen?
Yeah, definitely. So there are, I mean, last night I think is a good example. Lucas Zelnick was at the club last night, and everyone who is headlining has been doing comedy for a while, but with TikTok, I think there are definitely people who their star rises much faster, and they don't even necessarily expect it. So that's been interesting to see.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because the art form of comedy is so democratic, and it's like if you can't get on stage and get laughs, then you know, that's the ultimate test, right? And so people can get famous doing all sorts of things on social media, but the question is, can you hold an audience for 45 minutes to an hour and make them laugh regularly the whole way through? And so we've been, you know, it's been like an extra part of our job to find those people who not only, of course we want to book people who sell tickets and who have like a high profile, and some people have been able to build that high profile through social media, but also the question is like, it's the proof is in the pudding. Can they also, do they have that solid material where they can come and do a great hour? And some of them do and some of them don't, so you just have to be aware of it. And also social media is like, TikTok I feel like was a crest that everyone rode for a while, and things are changing again now, and we don't know what the next thing is going to be, but no, it's interesting.
Well, it's definitely, there's a kind of, we have a hometown hero, Tina Frimmel, who started taking classes at the club and then kind of blew up through TikTok. And now she's headlining all over the world and selling out shows all over the world because of TikTok, which is really cool to see someone who grew up in Vermont doing that, you know?
Yeah, a great opportunity for people who really do sell the laughs for 45 minutes.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And the comedy scene in Burlington has kind of changed as well. Have you seen the difference in audience as well from before?
Yeah, you want to speak to that? You're
Yeah, I think
front-facing more than me.
you know, I think that the audiences that are coming out now are more, they're more supportive of the club, more supportive of comedy in general, because the world is a dark place sometimes. And so we're seeing a lot more regulars, I think, like people coming back every single week, no matter who the act is. Whereas before, people were just coming out like, oh, I've heard of this person, so I'm coming out. And now it's like, oh no, this is my place I come to feel okay about myself and the world. So as far as audiences, that's really the only difference. We've always had really good audiences in Vermont who are polite and laugh and don't heckle the comedians. So every once in a while we'll get a heckler, but
Yeah, talk about that etiquette. Is there like kind of some guidelines if you're going?
Yeah, so you know, if you're at a comedy show, you should keep your table talk to a minimum because it's really distracting, especially in a room that has good acoustics. Like if you're having a quiet conversation at your table, someone can hear you across the room, including the comedian who's on stage. So like keeping your table talk to a minimum, and then also only talking to the comedian if they talk to you first. I think those are the two like main things. If you yell out, we will come talk to you and tell you not to yell out at the comedian, and they also might rip you apart.
Sure, like preschool rules.
Yeah,
pretty much.
right,
Yeah.
exactly.
Well,
Yeah,
and that being
exactly.
said, like it was interesting because we've been doing this for a very long time before we even had the club. And I remember in the early days, Vermonters were so polite and they didn't have a ton of experience being live audiences at comedy shows. And we would get these very polite, very quiet audiences that would smile a lot and be terrified to laugh or make noise or talk. And then they would go out and say, that was wonderful. But we had to sort of train people that it is an interactive experience also. It's okay to laugh, and if the comedian talks to you, you can answer. And like it is, we're all in a room. That's the special part about live comedy, right? Is that we're all in the same room together experiencing the same thing.
And
we just
every
need
show
to,
is different.
and we just
because
need to,
of
yeah,
that,
we just need
you
to make
know?
sure that the other you're not bothering the other people. Like there's some rules of etiquette, but we do want you to engage with the show and have a good time. You know, that's the whole point.
And you already kind of mentioned this, but you focus a lot on building some local acts. So tell me
Yeah.
kind of how you do that.
We have classes. We have improv classes, sketch classes, and stand-up comedy classes. And they run for 6 weeks at a time. And then people like work their way through the system, though they don't have to. That's the other great thing is like we have an open mic every Wednesday. Anyone can sign up for it. You don't have to take classes to participate.
Same for
and-
the improv jam on Saturday mornings. We can come and play games and do improv. So there's lots of ways to get involved. And there's usually comedians hanging around the cafe during the
Yeah.
day who are very welcoming. And the community is just really great about welcoming in people who are curious about trying out, you know, comedy.
That's the thing that I'm the most proud of is the community, because I think in a lot of comedy communities there's like the improvisers and the stand-ups have a thing, and we don't have that here at all. Everyone is really nice and welcoming, and you know, we do events like we have an annual Christmas party and we have a summer barbecue, and we try really hard to have a lot of events that people can come to and that are comedy related or maybe not comedy related, but just so that we can all connect and have a good time. So to keep the community strong.
Have you seen that community get kind of cultivated since you guys opened up about 10 years ago?
Oh yeah, for sure. There was, before we opened, well, when we started comedy, there were like 10 people doing stand-up, period. And now there are like hundreds. There are hundreds of people who are doing comedy, and some of them want to eventually move on to a bigger city and try to do it professionally. And plenty of people are also just doing it as a hobby and just like something to blow off some steam, have some fun.
Yeah, we talk about it all the time. I mean, we have gotten to a place now where there's a home for it, which is helpful in building a community. And so we have, you know, at any given time, maybe several hundred people involved at the different levels of commitment. But we talk about how sometimes we feel like a football coach or something, where every 4 years we have kind of a mass exodus of people who love doing comedy, decide to move on to bigger markets to try it in New York or LA. And then we find ourselves, oh, it's a bit of a shortage, but that also allows people who've been working really hard to sort of like step into some more, you know, some bigger roles in Vermont. So it, you know, it does feel like there are rebuilding years, and there are years where we're flush with a bunch of really great people, and it's interesting to watch that sort of ebb and flow. But we always have a really large critical mass of people who are psyched to get on stage and try to make people laugh.
Sure. And can anybody just create a tight five? Do you think there are some things you have to?
I wish they would.
Yeah, I mean, I think anyone can do comedy. It just takes a lot of work. It takes more work than you would think. And there are people who are really good writers who need work on performing. There are really good natural performers who need to work on writing. But if you're willing to put in the time.
And that's just stand-up. And then there's improv, which everyone thinks, oh, maybe that's easy because it's made up. But there's a lot of skill that goes into that it takes practice. And so yeah, it takes a lot of work. I teach the stand-up class at the club, the level 1 stand-up class, and I have been doing that for over 10 years. It's one of my favorite things to do. And yeah, one of the big misconceptions is that there's not going to be any homework in that class. And they pretty quickly find out, oh, I'm going to have to repeat these jokes and try to make them better each time, which is how stand-ups get better. They're not accidentally funny. But everybody's got a sense of humor, and I truly believe anyone can do it. And one of the fun things about teaching the class so much is that I get to see many different personality types take the class and create very different comedy sets from one another, but they're all great. So yeah.
All right, we're almost out of time here, but I quickly want to ask, for somebody who's maybe thinking about starting comedy, do you have any words of guidance or encouragement for them before they head out there?
Sure. I mean, finding your voice is the most important thing. So what is your point of view? What do you think is funny? And why do you think it's funny? Just examining that, I think, is the most helpful thing. And then the other thing is just getting out there and getting on stage. So if you're scared, that's okay. Come to a couple of shows, come to a couple of jams or open mics and sit in the audience and meet some people. And then you got to rip off the Band-Aid and start getting your reps in.
But I would say absolutely, come and get involved. And that doesn't even need to mean that you get on stage right away. We've had people come for weeks and watch the open mic before they do it, just to sort of get a sense of the lay of the land. So yeah, just do it. Just jump in if you're interested.
All right, thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
To develop your comedy chops or plan your next date night, you can visit the Vermont Comedy Club online. And don't forget, if you're looking to grab a bite next time you're downtown, think about the Vermont Comedy Club for lunch. And that's my time. I want to thank the crew behind the scenes here at WCAX. I'm Jolie Whitney. This is Across the Fence. Have a good one.